Hello everyone, and yes, we are returning to the coverage of the FIDE Grand Prix, and we are starting with a game that you guys have requested the most, and as usual, for good reasons. It's Levon Aronian versus Andrey Esipenko. I have to increase the font size of Levon's name. I keep it a little bit lowercase because Duda, I was playing against Magnus, and Duda has, Young Shito has too many letters to fit, properly, so I have to make it smaller. But yeah, just so you guys don't, there we go. Don't again have some OCD issues. It is Levon Aronian versus Andrey Esipenko, and the really awesome thing about this game is that Esipenko thought that he was playing against Hikaru today and that he had the the white pieces, or rather, this is yesterday's game. But he was preparing the white pieces for Hikaru, and he gets to play Levon with the black pieces. So it will definitely have a different effect than you might have imagined. So let's check it out. Levon with the white pieces opens with d4. We have knight to f6, c4, e6, knight to f3, and d5. The queen's gambit declined is on the board. Knight to c3 and the bishop to b4. Esipenko goes for the Ragozin defense, a very solid setup. E3, and now we have castles. We have bishop to d2 and b6. Now preparing to fianchetto the light square bishop here. So bishop to d3. Before bishop to d3, we have c captures on d5, e captures, and now bishop to d3. We have bishop to b7, and now queen to c2 by Levon. Castles is the by far the most popular move here. Levon has something else planned, as you know that Levon very rarely castles. We have rook to e8 and now a3, challenging this dark square bishop. Asking, do you want to capture on c3 or do you want to go back maybe to d6 or to e7? Esipenko goes all the way back to f8, and Levon now plays a move that has not been played until now. But bishop to f8 is also it's only been played like maybe once or twice. Here castles is a known move, but Levon prefers not to castle. He plays knight to g5, and it is now, as of move 11, that we have a completely new game. So you can see that Levon is putting all of the pressure on that king side. You of course have to imagine h4, h5 is coming. It's Levon who's playing, and he's probably not castling king side. And now, how do you defend this? The problem is, if you play something like h6, which seems like a good idea, and it usually is, here it's just made into just bishop h7 check, and now it doesn't matter what you play. If you capture, then queen captures with checkmate, and of course, if you move the king, then knight to f7 is checkmate. So after knight g5, g6 is played. Of course, now we prevent the bishop from ever capturing that h7 pawn, but now Levon continues with h4. Again, h5 will definitely be on the board. We have c5 by Esipenko, and now h5. And here, the problem is you can't really go for this pawn. If knight captures, we're just going to play knight captures on h7. Not rook captures on h5 first, knight captures on h7 first. And now after king captures g4, and black's entire position just falls apart. So you have to be incredibly careful here, and you have to play a move that you really don't want to play in a situation like this. You have to play bishop to g7, and it's still not all that great for black. For example, h captures, we're going to play f captures on g6, d captures on c5, and after b captures, we're still going to capture on h7. And after knight captures, we're going to play bishop captures on g6, attack the knight, attack the rook here, and once you play something, let's say knight f8, you'd rather give up the exchange than a full piece. Bishop captures on e8, queen captures, and now queenside castles, and there's just no way black will save this in a practical game. The king is wide open. Yes, you do have two pieces for a rook, but still, this is it would be very hard. However, it is the best Esipenko has, and with absolute perfect play, you can play this. But after h5, Esipenko played h6, and now the entire position just falls apart. So feel free to pause the video here and win the game for Levon while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on playing the absolute strongest winning move in a classical game, and this is only move 13. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, of course, the move is h captures on g6. We give up the knight, and we completely shatter black's defenses. Esipenko captured on g5, g captures on f7 with check, king captures, and bishop to g6 check. Now we have king to e7, and now queen to f5. You could also start with e4, but queen to f5 followed by e4 also works. And here black is just out of any good options. If you try something like queen d7, you offer a queen trade, we just capture on g5. Next rook to h7 is coming, the knight is of course pinned, and there's just no good move here for black. So instead, after queen to f5, bishop to g7 is played now, but now comes e4. And it seems like you shouldn't be able to play this because black is controlling this 3 times. The problem is if black captures, then we play bishop captures on g5, and whatever black plays doesn't really matter. Let's say c captures on d4, we just capture here, and after captures, rook h7 check, king to d6, and now look at this, knight b5 check, king to c6, and rook to c1 checkmate. So this is only one of the many possibilities that could happen if this was played. So after e4, you can't really capture the e4 pawn, knight to c6 is played, and now what do you play here? Well, bishop captures on e8. We have queen captures on e8, and queen captures on e8 is well, not the greatest way to go, but Esipenko was also very low on time. Even though this is a classical game, he was extremely low on time, which we will show. We even have a nice photo of the handshake in the end. But here, king captures on e8 was the absolute best thing to do. Now, you're welcome to check this out for yourself. I just need a second to let Medo in the room. Yeah, I mean, I asked him if he wanted to go with me upstairs when I went to record, but he was like, nah. And then, you know, just in mid-recording, he just wants to go in. But yeah, here king captures would be the best because after, let's say, bishop captures on g5, you could still find some counterplay with queen to d7. You offer a queen trade, and now, okay, let's say bishop captures, queen captures on f5, e captures on f5, bishop captures on f6, knight captures on d5, threatening the bishop. Also knight to c7 check, a beautiful fork is here, and best black has is just bishop captures on d4. After knight to c7 check, let's say king f7, we're gonna capture here, captures, now queenside castles, and you get this position where Levon would have 2 rooks, but Esipenko would have a bishop pair and the knight. However, Levon is also up 2 pawns. It's 5 pawns against 3, so white would be much better here, maybe through some brilliant maneuvering. Esipenko could hold this, but it would be very hard. But instead, after bishop captures on e8, he played queen captures on e8, and here you completely just fall apart. Knight captures on d5 with check, knight captures, and now bishop captures on g5. We have king to d6. If you go back with knight to f6, it doesn't really help. Just captures, and rook to h7 check. King to d8, we're gonna play queen captures on f6, and now after king c8, just queen f5, and that's it. If king goes here, you deliver a check, and then either checkmate or well, you have to start giving away pieces with some silly moves like queen here, or after king to d8, you would get d captures on c5, and now rook to d1 will end the game. So after bishop captures on g5 with check, king to d6 was played, and here just queen captures on d5, king to c7, and now rook to h7, and he was in this position on move 23 that Andrey Esipenko resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. So in a Grand Prix event, 23 moves in a classical game, that's simply incredible, and Levon played this really brilliantly in his style, keeping the king in the center of the board. The king never moved from the e1 square, he just started pushing his h-pawn. We all know this is Levon's signature move, and well, you've seen how difficult it was to defend. There were a couple of possibilities like the one that we've discussed here with bishop to g7, but after h6 the position just completely falls apart. And I promised you a photo of the event. I think this is the one. Yeah, this is the one. So here for your viewing pleasure, we can also show that. Sorry, I haven't prepared it, so I just have to make it a little bit smaller for you to see. I wish there was a quicker way to do this, or rather I wish I knew what the quicker way to do this was. But yeah, there you have it. A handshake is being offered here. We can even enlarge it a little bit. You can see Esipenko has only 9 minutes left on the clock, so he pretty much spent his entire time. And well, for a 23 move game, that's definitely saying something. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it and this very nice photo. If you have any of your own favorites, of course, use the hashtag suggestion, as today the Grand Prix is continuing. The leaders currently of the FIDE Grand Prix are Levon, Aronian, and Hikaru Nakamura. They are the only 2 players on 3 points. And interestingly, they only lost their games to each other. So Levon lost 1 game to Hikaru, and Hikaru lost 1 game to Aronian. But yeah, that's the game. Really hope you guys enjoyed it. For those of you who are wondering how Ding is doing, Ding has played already 3 classical games now, and he has won all 3. So he is also on his way to reaching that candidates tournament, because he already is qualified. He just needs that one little criteria of having enough classical games to actually play the event. So yeah, once again, hope you guys enjoyed this. I would like to thank a symbolic donation from subscriber David Kimura, Mehmet Somes, OpenSea Smoky Dule, and Tyler Rechko for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing the coverage of the FIDE Grand Prix until it ends. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent start of your week.